Hey guys, Sean Terry, what is up? Hope everyone's doing well. It's been a while since about a month or so. I've actually, if you don't know me, I have a full-time real estate business here in Phoenix, Arizona, and for the past 8 years, I've been very fortunate enough and blessed to, because I do the business full-time, is to be able to take off the entire month of July. And I literally work maybe 2 hours a week. I check emails in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, facilitate some closings. But the bottom line is that, the great thing about this business is that you have the ability to be able to do what you want with who you want, when you want. So for the month of July, I have a beach house in Southern California, in Dana Point, California, actually, and right by the Ritz-Carlton there, and right by the St. Regis Resort. So I go out there with my family. I have 2 daughters, is 13 years old, and my wife, of course, and we go out there and literally spend the whole summer at the beach. We got the house that I have there is in a gated community, which is, they have 9 tennis courts, Olympic-sized swimming pool, clubhouses, spas, workout area, and it's just phenomenal. So I can tell you, it's obviously I've worked hard, in the business, but from what this business can do for you in such a short period of time is just phenomenal. And some people might be listening here tonight that are brand new. Maybe you've never done a deal before, and you're looking at real estate and going, how can I get involved in real estate, and how can I go out and make my first check? And I know, because I've been there. I first got involved in real estate back in 2003. I had a dead-end job. I was living month to month, and every single night I would lay in my bed, and I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep, because I knew there was something I had to do, something more, something bigger, something, and I just had this massive internal struggle, and I had to drag myself out of bed to go to work this mundane job that was just not what I wanted to do. And it became very frustrating. And it's amazing when you start putting the intention out there that you're searching for something, things start to pop up. Well, and I've told this story before, but I had to work on a Saturday, and it was the Saturday after, and I get to, kind of clean the pool and just relax, right? Well, this Saturday I had to go on a sales call. The way I was flipping through the radio stations, and I heard this guy talk about how and make upwards to $5,000. Now, I can tell you, to me, flip the channel back, and are we getting the feedback here?
Muted.
Okay, my screen froze up there. But I actually flipped the channel because I was skeptical. I was born and raised back east, and I was skeptical. I was like, yeah, right, there's no way people are actually making $20,000 in a single deal. And I said, there's no way it can be done. And the weird, well, at the time, I was dead broke. I mean, I had more months to the end of the money, so I didn't have I didn't have time to waste on stupid. I was hustling to go to this appointment so I could make some money. And what happened was, I flipped the channel. I continued to listen to College Game Day, and again, today I know it was God's intervention. It was Him tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, idiot, turn the channel back and listen to what this guy has to say." So what happened was, I actually turned the channel back while driving down the freeway, and I listened to what he had to say, and he talked about a concept where you can not buy a house, but you could contract a house. Now that's different. Buying a house, you have to have good credit, you have to have cash, you have to have funds, you have to have private funds, you have to buy the house. There are certain criteria that you have to meet as a buyer/borrower to purchase a house. Well, if you're contracting a house, meaning signing a contract, there's no criteria at all. So he explained this concept on this radio show about contracting a house. And to me, that was weird. So he basically said you can find a distressed seller or someone motivated, whoever it may be, and you can sign a contract, right? And on that contract can be a purchase price and a closing date, typically a closing date 30 to 45 days before you have to perform on the contract. And he said things like you have to have a contract clause on there. So if for some reason you need to get out of the contract, you can by basically using that out clause and subject to buyer or partner's approval. So he's explaining this, and I was going, I've never heard of that. That is cool. So just like, after he, turned off the radio, I actually, I had a First Premier credit card because he was, of course, selling a course, right? So he had this course for like $500, and I remember I had $250 on my First Premier credit card, and my wife had $250 on her First Premier credit card. So I called the guy up and I said, "Hey, dude, can you split the payments into two, because I just really can't afford it." And he did. He put half on one credit card, half on the other, and sent me the course. And that was my introduction to wholesaling houses and flipping houses back in 2003. And I can tell you, his methods of finding deals are antiquated. He actually taught to go out and knock on pre-foreclosure doors that is distressed, and you go out there and you knock on their door and say, "Hey, would you like to sell your house?" Well, there's a lot of fear that comes involved when you do that. First off, because you have to actually, go up to the door and actually talk to people, which is terrible. But, because I was so excited, I started talking to, all my friends and my relatives and my actually coworkers and my father-in-law and everybody. And I'm saying, "Hey, you would not believe I'm going to get rich. I'm going to find the houses. I'm going to contract it." Man, I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. And guess what everybody did? They popped my bubble. They basically said, "You're crazy. It's a scam. You can't do it. You can't sell a house you don't own. You can't do it." And I'm like, "Why not?" This guy says you can. Well, you just can't do it. So people, they referred me to realtors, and realtors told me that I'd never find those deals. And I was discouraged, man. I was, at one point, I was like high as a kite, man. I was like, "Boom, I'm getting rich, baby." And then on the other point, I was in like the I don't know, the dungeon or something. It was just terrible. I was just like, my hands are dragging on the ground, my shoulders are slumped over, and my wife's like, "Dude, get a grip. Stop being such a sunny day type of guy." He said, I'm going to stop listening to other people's opinions, and I'm just going to focus and try to go out and get a deal. Mind you, and I was working around my job. So I went out and knocked on pre-foreclosure doors, and I finally, after my knuckles were bloody, after knocking on I don't know how many doors, I found someone that said, "Okay." Now, I didn't have a contract. I didn't have Freedomsoft. I couldn't submit a contract into there and submit it to, email it or fax it or whatever, or find comps right here. I didn't have all this stuff. I didn't have a contract. I went to Staples, like an Office Max, and I found a contract there. I didn't know how to write it out. I didn't know how to fill it out, but I want to show up the guy's house. I didn't know what comps were, or valuation was, or what a deal was. So I just got started, and I talked to the guy, and we agreed on a price, and I kind of crossed my fingers. I made sure I had my out clause in there, though, and luckily enough, I got it at a price that made sense, and I didn't have a buyers. I didn't have a buyers list. I didn't have a way to find buyers. I didn't have any of that type of thing. So I went out and I went through the local newspaper, and I looked for people who were maybe lease optioning properties or renting properties or trying to sell properties for sale by owner, and I called them up and I said, hey, would you be interested in buying another property? And I actually found a guy after making probably 20, 30 calls. I found a guy who said, sure, I'd be interested. He met me at the house and offered me about $11,000 higher than I got the contract for. So I made $11,008 on my first deal, and I can tell you that was life-altering. And I can tell you, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't made a check yet, do whatever it takes. I don't care if you have to work from sun up to sundown. I don't care if you have to, you think it, eat it, breathe it, smell it, taste it, digest it, do whatever you got to do to basically focus. There's so many shiny objects out there that things come across that maybe I should do this, that maybe I should do that. The bottom line in this business is finding a seller that's distressed. And once you find a seller distressed, then you can contract that property, and then you can turn around and sell that contract for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, what happened is from May of 2003 to the end of to the beginning of 2004, I made $134,000, which changed. It was incredible for me. It was tons and tons of money, and I was amazed. And from that point on, it just went absolutely bananas until the market crashed. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about market cycles. I'm going to also talk to you about how to replace your income, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into questions and answers and kind of get granular on what you're thinking. And let's get right into this. Now, I talk about and I teach, and and I love teaching. I actually started a podcast in iTunes called the Ultimate Real Estate Investing Podcast. So I have about 94 different episodes out there now where I talk about every aspect of this business, from how to find the sellers, how to find the buyers, how to contract, what clauses to use, how to fill out the contract, what to say, how to say it, how to negotiate. And it's currently the ranked #1 real estate podcast on iTunes right now, and it gets about 120,000 downloads. And I do it for free. And the amazing thing is that I love doing it because I just love to teach, and I love teaching this. And that's one reason why, Preston Ely, which I am an avid user of Freedomsoft, we use it every single day. I literally live inside Freedomsoft, with my partner. Is that we, he asked me, he said, hey, would you be interested in hosting these calls? And I was like, sure, absolutely, because I absolutely love teaching this business. But one thing I do teach is the #1 focus is to get your check. And there's some great resources inside Freedomsoft. You can go back to the classroom in here, and you can go to the resources or the training tutorials, and you get a drink of water. So training tutorials or the resources. You go to Quick Start Video, 6 Weeks to Freedom. I call it the 4 phases of freedom. So, negotiating tips, a lot of great stuff. If you haven't went through here, really go through there. And then resources here on some of the other calls that we do, 7-step action guides. So what that can do is give you a starting point to where you can get going. Is the #1 formula or #1 prescription. If someone comes to me and says, I just can't, I don't know what I'm doing, I just got to get started, I just can't, just do it. Like I said, I didn't have a contract. I just went out and knocked on doors. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. I got a list of people who were going to foreclosure, and I went out and I found the list, not by talking to one person. I talked to 20. I got 19 no's, and then I found someone that said yes. And mind you, this is after, everyone told me I was nuts, that I was in a scam, this is ridiculous, it's illegal, you can't do this, right? After everybody told me that, I didn't have a title company, didn't have a closing agent, didn't know what the heck I was doing. I did it anyways because I believed in it, and I was like, I can do this. So, the first step is going out and getting your check as fast as humanly possible. The second step is accumulating 1 year's worth of income as fast as humanly possible. Because the goal is to quit your job, to be done with work, to be done to live life on your own terms. Well, I don't suggest doing that after your first deal. That's what I did. It was stupid. Then I was stressed out. So then when I'm talking to sellers, I'm like, I have to do this deal instead of whatever happens, happens, right? It's a whole different energy that you're putting to the seller. So the bottom line is that if you have 1 year's worth of income and you do it by flipping houses, then you have the option to quit your job. You can quit your job if you want. And guess what? Multiple deals you've done, and you've accumulated 1 year's worth of income to where then you can make a educated decision saying, hey, do I want to go full time? So what we're going to do is take it from that point forward. But before I do that, right, I want to talk about market cycles. Now, this is incredibly important. Okay, this is so critical that if you're watching TV, if you're picking your nose, if you're surfing on Facebook, if whatever, stop what you're doing right now and pay attention. Because this is so critical, it's paramount that you understand where we are in the market cycle and that your window of opportunity is where we are. So what happens in every real estate market cycle in the blue, we have optimism. Now, when was optimism? Optimism was back in 2000, 2002, 2003, 2004, and then what happens is 2003 was about the optimism. So I got started in the optimism phase of real estate. Then what happens is 2004 hit and we hit the excitement level. Okay, so people started getting excited about real estate and going, wow, this is great. Prices are going up instead of 3% a year. They're going up maybe 10% a year, 4% a year, 6% a year. Newspapers started reporting that the real estate market kind of, is starting to heat up. And you're starting to hear stories of people that are doing great things in real estate. Then what happens is 2005, we hit euphoria. Now, euphoria was when inventory levels shot down to record lows across the entire country, and everybody was in real estate. I think everybody I knew was getting a real estate license, right? And everybody. Now, I'll give you an example. I was getting my hair cut, and my hairdresser at the time was telling me a story of how she bought this house on a lottery at the auction from this new home builder, and be able to bought the house, got on a lottery, and turn around and sold it before the house was even built and made $40,000. Now, she doesn't know anything about real estate. She doesn't know how to negotiate. She doesn't know how to determine value or figure out repair costs or any of that type of stuff. But what she did was she got into the euphoria stage, that market cycle, the euphoria stage. Then what happened? We all know what happened then, right? Market crashed. Well, that was 2006, 2007, 2008. Wow. And that was like, oh, it's going to come back soon. It's going to come back. I remember during this stage, at the time, I had, in the euphoria stage, I built a property portfolio of $36 million. I had 120 rental properties, single-family residential rental properties, okay? And I actually sold them all in the height of the market between May and November of 2005. I mean, it was ridiculous. I made millions and millions and millions of dollars just selling. It was crazy. And then what happened is the market collapsed, right? Now, thank God I got rid of all my inventory, but that was my intelligent move. My stupid move is I bought land. So I took all the money. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Just stick it in my bank account or put it in CDs? No, I know real estate, so I actually plowed it into land holding. That was a stupid move. So what happened was the market crashed. I mean, literally just, it was ridiculous. I remember 2008, the summer of 2008, when Washington Mutual crashed, you know, you could not drop a pin in Arizona and find anybody that was buying real estate. Inventory levels went from 5,000 in 2005 of units of available inventory to 55,000 units. We had like a 50-year supply of houses. It was, I'm being, you know, exaggerating, but it was crazy. So, you know, and I read the newspaper every single day looking for signs of hope. I was like, you know, I was like a ship in the middle of the ocean. I was looking for land. You know, I was just like, you know, drowning, hoping there'd be land. And I read every newspaper, and I was reading, you know, looking, is it coming back? Is it coming back? So what was I in? I was in the denial phase, right? That was 2007, 2008, you know, better part of 2009. And then fear struck in, and I was like, what if this never comes back? What if the market never comes back? And, you know, and I'm just done. I'm going to have to look for a job. You know, this is crazy. I went from making all this money selling plowed into the land, which now became absolutely worthless, right? And then to turn around, and I was freaking out. I was like, what the heck is going on? Well, and then I hit the panic stage. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what are we going to do to create some sort of income? Because, you know, now savings kind of go through, you know, and you're going, okay, this is, you know, just depleting rapidly, and you're going, okay, what, something's going to happen here. And then we hit the depression stage. That's when you're just like constantly just dragging, you know. And then I remember at that point in time, it was 2009, you know, probably early 2009. You know, I was watching TV, and I was just being negative, man. I was telling a negative story. Life sucks. Mark's never coming back. I'm just this and that. It was depression. It sucked, right? And the market was sucky. Everything sucked. And my wife basically slapped me upside the head, right, and said, dude, what are you doing? Wake up. You know, thoughts are things. Things you think about come true. And guess what? You're just being a big old pity party. Step up, do what I know you can do, and go to work. And guess what, man? I can tell you, it's good to have a good wife that can kick in the butt sometimes. But the bottom line is that I was like, okay. So I went back to my grassroots and I started wholesaling at the end of 2009. I started building a web presence, started wholesaling, and guess what, man? It started cranking again. I started cranking and just went absolutely bananas. And I started the podcast in early 2010. It took off from there, and it's just crazy. Now, you know, we are just coming out of the depression stage. We are in this between depression and hope right now. So what's going to happen is we are now on the upswing of real estate. We are going to go through another new bull market of real estate. So there's two types of people on this call right now. There's someone on the call that's taking action, and they've got momentum, and they're cranking, and they're talking to sellers, and they're talking to buyers, and they're pumping out properties, and they're excited, and they're making money. And then there's the other type of person on the call who hasn't done anything yet. They're contemplating, to consider, to evaluate, they're discussing, they're thinking about it, they're analyzing their spreadsheets. Is now the right time? Should I buy this property? Should I flip this property? They're getting everything in a row. They're getting all their ducks in a row, right? Well, guess what? If you don't step up and start cranking, you're going to miss the wave. We've got a small window of opportunity heading into this bull market now. It could be a year. It could be 2 years. It could be 5 years. It could be 10 years. The bull market in real estate went from 1993, right, when we hit the savings and loan crash. We came out of it in 1993, 1994, and went all the way up to 2005. Who knows what it is going to be now, but all I can tell you is this. We are exiting depression. We are between depression and hope, and we are going to be coming to optimism very shortly. And the inventory levels across the country are down, and now's the time to stop getting your ducks in a row, because you'll never, ever have your ducks in a row. Now's the time to focus and go to work and start cranking the sucker out. So now, If you can find a path, it's one of my favorite quotes. If you can find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere, right? Everyone's looking for the easy way out. There's no push button, oh my gosh, I'm going to get rich overnight type of thing. It takes work, okay? I work my butt off. I'm working right now. I don't have to be working, right? But, you know, I love doing this. But the bottom line is that there is no such thing as no obstacles. So let's deal with it. Oops, what'd I do? What's this? Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, let's get into the numbers. So if you understand the numbers, for every 25 leads you get one deal. Okay, for every 25 leads you get one deal. One motivated seller that's saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm motivated. Let's do it." Give me an example. I dropped 40,000 mailer pieces about 3 weeks ago, right? One guy called up and said, "Okay, I got a house. I can't get chemotherapy until I sell my house. I need to sell it now." Now, would you think that's a motivated seller? It's a motivated seller. And I say, "Okay, what do you want?" He goes, "Well, if I can get $115 for it, I'd be ecstatic. You owned it free and clear." I said, "Okay, it's done." Okay, we got the property for $115. We sold it for $155 in 48 hours. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, the potential is there. So for every 25 leads you get one deal, right? You got to determine the average deal size, right? And this is what you need to escape. This is what the formula is for you to be done, right, with your job. What does it take for you to get done? Determine average deal size. Determine the amount money needed to quit your job. Let's do the math. So formula, income divided by deal size equals deals needed times 25 equals leads needed. Okay, so here it is. Income. Let's go through this. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. Divided by deal size. Let's say, to make it easy, the average deal is $5,000. So how many deals do you need? Good. 10 deals. Now you multiply that times 25 leads equals what? Excellent. 250 leads. So you take total leads. Now these are leads, right, from sellers? Total leads divided by leads per month equals months to freedom. So the bottom line is, how many leads can you get a month? So if you're going to send out, 50 mail letters, it's going to take a little time to get those leads, and you might get 4 calls in a month, right? If you send out 50,000, like I do every month, well, guess what? I'm going to blow through that number. See, the beautiful thing about this business, and I'll get into it, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your educational level. It doesn't matter your talent. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're ugly. It doesn't matter if you're good looking, right? It doesn't matter. The bottom line is numbers. And the more leads you get, the more money you'll make consistently doing that. So for an example, if you need 250 leads, if you get 25 leads a month, it's going to take 10 months. Well, what if you're super motivated and you do 250 leads in a month? Well, you could potentially get what? How many deals? 10 deals, $50,000. People ask me how I make over $100,000 a month. This is it. It's not rocket science. I didn't graduate college. I didn't even go to college. I went in the Marine Corps. Why? Because they accepted me. All the other ones didn't. All my friends went to Ivy Leagues. I couldn't get in there, So, okay. To scale it, and I'm going to take you in this real quick, and I've showed this before, but I want to show it again so you in a different context. Okay. This is the flip2freedom.com marketing to income analyzer. I'll show you where you can download this for free. But the bottom line is this, is that you start off with what you can do. So bandit signs, let's say you do 50 bandit signs. And I'm just using bandit signs as an example. Yellow letters is a yellow letter campaign. It's a marketing piece you can use to send out. They have yellow letters inside of Freedomsoft you can use. So let's say you send out 100, right? And then let's say now you've got, let's say, well, let's put 0 there, and let's put absolute great source to find smoking deals. I actually have a close friend of mine who's a police officer here in Phoenix PD, and he drives around to all these neighborhoods, right? And he sends me about, 10 to 15 addresses a day of boarded up, smoking deals, like ridiculously smoking deals. So if you have any friends or police officers, have them send you some deals. Anyways, so vacant houses are great. And vacant houses doesn't cost any money. All you got to do is handwrite them a letter and send it to their tax mailing address. Internet marketing, let's say you do 0. So here's the deal. Average deal size. This is your channels. These are your lead sources, lead channels, you could call it, right? And this is your marketing. This is what you've done. So you basically you put out 50 bandit signs for the whole month. You put out 100 yellow letters. Let's say you wrote 25 yellow letters a week, and you did none there, and you did vacant houses, right? And you did, that's not a lot. You can do that around your job, okay? Here, your total spend is $159, right? And let's say you have 100 in expenses, whatever, for whatever, paper. But you get 5 leads here, 11 leads here, 15 leads here, right? For a total of 31 leads, you get 1.2 deals, 6,200, boom, there you go, $5,900. Then what happens after that? What happens? Now, I'm going to tell you, you're excited. You got your first check. You're going, this is ridiculous. This is awesome. You're showing your friends that told you were stupid, insane, and you were nuts, that this doesn't work. You're going, yeah, it does. I'm going to tell you this. Your first check is the best. It's the most exciting. It's thrilling because you can literally shut up all those naysayers that didn't support you. I can tell you, it's relief. I can tell you that. Relief because you pursue so hard to get it, and that first check. But then once you get it, it's phenomenal. Anyways, enough of that. So you got $5,900. So what do you do with the $5,900? All right? Oops. I'm going to format cells. Sorry. What do you do with the $5,900? You reinvest 15% back into marketing. So let's talk about that. So you got 59. I'm going to put on my iPhone. Who's getting the iPhone 5? I'm all over it. I'm excited. Coming out September, whatever. Okay. So 5942 times point. Whoops. 5942. So okay, $891. So what you do is reinvest 15% back in the marketing. I'm going to tell you what I do. I take 10% and I give it to church. I tithe every single month. It's a success principle. I'm going to tell you right now on this phone if you're listening, right? Of course you are. If you are struggling with making money, if money is an issue, right, and you're having a tough time making money, oh, guess what? I guarantee you're probably not tithing. Tithe. I'm telling you, tithe 10%, and I'm telling you, it's a core principle of success. The most successful people I know, and I hang around with and talk to, every single one of them tithe. So if you're not doing it, that's a clue. All right. So now, $891. 15% back in the marketing. So then you go, okay, let's play around with the sheet here. Let's go, okay, I'm going to do now 100 bandit signs. I'm going to do 200. Is that enough? 200. Let's call it 300. Let's do more. Let's do 500. Let's do 500. 638. Let's do vacant houses. That's a lot of vacant houses. So let's do yellow letter campaign 2, and that's to more of a niche list, like a probate list or an inheritance list. Let's do 100, let's do 200, 100 of those, maybe. Okay, that's 856. We need 891. We're Okay, then you go, okay, well, my milestones in the mailing is I'm going to pull my list, right? I'm either going to write the letters myself, or I'm going to hire a mailing service company, or I'm going to do it within Freedomsoft to send my letters out, right? So I'm going to deploy the marketing. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to actually send that marketing out. That's the next step in the list. Now I'm going to turn around and I'm going to take the phone calls. They're going to go into a voicemail system, and you're going to actually call the people back. So you're going to make time during the day. That's where you define the milestones, which are I'm going to get my list. I'm going to get my my marketing out there. I'm going to mail it and get it sent. And then I'm going to take the calls, and then I'm going to contract, set appointments or make offers on the phone. So then you define the task within the milestone. And then to get everything done, it's called critical focus time. You take 30-minute blocks. Now, I can tell you, I run a full-time, I do, anywhere from 15 to 20 deals a month, flipping houses right now, and we're continue to grow. $10 million a year in revenue that we do in business in real estate. So how do I do that? And I have my real estate information company that does millions of dollars too. But the bottom line is, how do you do all of it? It's called critical focus time. Is that taking a block of 30 minutes, shutting everything down, shutting your phone down, shutting Twitter down, shutting Facebook down, and focusing on a project, on a milestone, on a task for that 30 minutes, and focus and get it done. And you commit to 1 or 2 blocks of CFT per day, critical focus time per day. If you do that, you will move forward every single day toward the goal that you want to accomplish. And obviously, you want to accomplish success, whatever that is. Okay, so let's open up for Q. And let me get some water. It's hot in here. All right. All right. You keep cutting out. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Type in if you can hear me okay. Christina Burnham said okay. But I'm going to go into my preferences here and see. Put up the volume. Is that better? Talking into the thing. Okay, now, okay, we got it. Okay, questions. Now, let me tell you how the questions work. You type them into GoToWebinar, and the questions come in every minute, you know what I mean? So there's not a thread type of thing like an iPhone or whatever. There's no thread involved. So it's just if you ask a question, I answer it, and you have a follow-up question on there, it just comes as time. Like there's 645, 642, 643 of all the questions, just to let you know. Bruce, I'm sorry I'm fading out. I'm usually the loud guy, Bruce. I'm the guy that everyone tells to shut up because I'm so loud. Okay, this is from Charles. He said 2 months ago, they said the Freedomsoft will be changing, updating the format sometime August. What is happening? Actually, I do not know. I'm not the developer guy, but when I remember listening back to the call that they were coming out with it in September. So I believe they're coming out with it in September. When the launch date is, I'm not 100% sure. But Justin, who does these calls, is the developer behind this, along with Preston, and they will update us on that. Great question, though. This is from Craig Dillon. Great question. Do you have acquisition reps? And what's your simple system overview for your acquisition reps? I don't really have an acquisition rep. I have an employees, right? And so basically what I do with them is I pay them a commission basis based upon what they do on a revocable draw. So there's a revocable draw with a commission based on it, but typically the commission out exceeds the revocable draw, so there's not an issue. But that's it. And what I've done is taken someone on that's in sales, that knows the business. It's a rock star that can go out and run leads, that can talk to sellers and talk to buyers and sell properties. Lacera Plazio, thank you. Glad this is your first one. Are you doing virtual deals outside your area? Bruce? No, I'm not. But I do know a lot of people are doing it. Virtual deals is a great way to basically target. I probably will be. Right now in Phoenix, it's just there's so many deals. It's just even crazy to keep up with. But the bottom line is, do I do virtual deals? Yeah, I've done virtual deals, but that's not our main focus. When we expand, we'll expand and go actually into a market. We'll enter a market like we run this market, and we'll go for the sole purpose of domination to take it over. So, and don't ask me what market yet, because I haven't figured it out yet. How do you download the analyzer? I think it's if you go to Flip2Freedom, this is my website.com / marketing. I think it's marketing. Flip2Freedom. See if that's it. Yeah, there it is, right there for you. Flip2Freedom.com / marketing. In California, I'm lucky to get 10% of the results that you are saying you get. Dude, California rocks. Are you kidding me? Dude, I know guys out there making way more money because the deal size. I mean, I'm talking. We're getting beaters for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 and selling them for $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. Guys in California are killing it. I'll give an example. One of the guys in my mastermind group got a property under contract, mind you. Tony, listen, Tony. He got a property under contract for $900,000. He wholesaled it for 1.7. Okay, 900,000, 1.7. So, you know, I would just say, keep digging. Marcia, why can't you access the premium tab? I would submit something to support up here, because I'm not the guy. I'm the real estate guy. I'm not the developer guy to figure all this stuff out. I will go to my account, and I think there's a support tab in there that you could submit a support tab. But I'm sure they can open that up if that's the case. Will the new Freedomsoft have phone support? I don't know. I think they just have a support line. They used to have, I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. And I apologize, guys, because I'm not the technical guy. I'm not the, I use Freedomsoft. I haven't developed Freedomsoft. I'm the real estate guy. You want to know about real estate? I'm your guy. Okay, good question. Marcia McKinney, if you have no money no money at all, and this is a theoretical because she's rich, right? She has tens of millions of dollars in the bank. And theoretically, if someone has no money, right, and what would they do to get started? Well, the first thing you do is hand. If you're absolutely dead broke, I would drive around to vacant houses, or I'd get a list from like listsource.com, and they might even have lists in here, or you can do instant leads, in here. But you have to send out mail. You have to get the ball rolling, and I would handwrite letters yourself. And so you go drive around, you look for vacant houses in areas where there's the lower-end houses. Now, one thing you can do, when you do that is go to your local auctions where they hold foreclosure auctions and hang out down there if you can. You're going to hang out with guys down there that buy properties cash within 24 hours. These are your optimal buyer. Those are the guys that you want to hang out with. Okay, so those are the guys you want to hang out with. So those guys you want to ask the criteria, what they're looking for, what type of property they're looking for, and then you can then go find properties in that particular area. So if a guy says, hey, I like properties in this zip code, I like them that are 3-bed, 2-bath, and I'm looking for properties in the 30 to 50,000 range. And you say, great, what's your appetite? How many deals do you buy? He goes, man, if I can get 3 or 4 deals a month, I'd be happy. I say, great. So now you know you've got a guy with an appetite that is looking for deals. So go find him deals in that particular area. So you go drive around that area looking for vacant houses or little things on the door. Then maybe do a search if you have there's like free county records. You can do their search in there and kind of determine, or a people search and try to find their address. There's free services out there. You can do that, and then send them a letter, and put it out there. Send them a letter and start doing that, and send out as many as you can. So if you can set a goal to send out 25 to 50 a week, then you'll start creating momentum. All you need is your first deal. Once you get your first deal, then you're done, because then you can reinvest the 15% back in the market. Okay, resources where you find your best list. Absentee owners, I use ListSource. 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 So you can go in there and you can do your absentee owner list. Now the criteria you want to use is I typically use mortgage origination date 2000 and below. So you want to make sure that the property has been paid on, and that it hasn't been transferred. You don't want newer properties. You want properties that have some equity in it. But I would dive into ListSource. Probate. What's that probate? They mail me every single month. It's USA probate. I think it's USA Amazon. That'd be nice if it was Amazon, wouldn't it? It'd be great. USA probate. These guys right here. No, that's not him. Oops. Is it USA probate? Okay, by probate leads. It's one of these right here. U.S. probate leads. There we go. Here it is. These guys. These are where I buy. This is where I get my probate leads from. And then we just do a cross-reference with the list we provide. So that's absentee owner and probate. Hope that helps, Virginia. Who do you market for your leads, and which is the best? Starting out, start out with absentee owners. That's what you want to start out with. That's something you can scale into. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you'll hit every absentee owner 5 times over in your area. But the bottom line is start out there. Start out with 100, 200, 500, 1,000, whatever you can do. Start out there. And then vacant houses, those are great too. Do I do anything with mortgage note buying? No. I don't do anything with mortgage note buying. I've done where I've actually created notes, and that's pretty extensive. I don't want to get into that in this call, but where you can actually create notes on a property to make it more sellable, and taking a premium, meaning I can sell the house with a higher price. They come in with a minimal down, and I take a note back on the property. How are my HUD deals going? They're cranking. I'll show you. Good question. Asno, HUD. You want to see how my HUD deals are going? Let's see how the HUD deals are going. Come on. Actually, I should be bidding on HUD homes right now instead of talking to you guys. All right. So I'm going into the back end of this thing. Okay, so today, I got accepted today, 9/12/2012. Other bids selected on this little piece of junk one. Accepted, 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 canceled, other bids selected, other bids selected. And this is 9/4. So since 9/4, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties accepted, each one of them about $10,000 profit. So if I go to accepted properties, so this one's accepted right now. So, does that answer it? Good question, Bruce. How many MLS? His question. How many MLS, HUD, or direct from owner deal owners are you doing? I don't do any MLS, and I should do MLS. I've got to get back at it. It's just I haven't done MLS. I mean, I know I'm leaving tons of money on the table. I get it. My wife's a realtor, for crying out loud. I could do it so easy. But I'm not doing MLS. So that's something that's on my list to do with everything else I got going on. HUD deals, I'd probably do 4 or 5 a month. And the rest of them are the 10 to 15, 20 months, whatever it is, it's absentee owners. I mean, it's direct from seller. I'm looking for a great. Okay, Deshaun Drummond, what's up, buddy? My question to you, Deshaun, and maybe you can answer back, in your 2 direct mail campaigns that you sent, how many did you send? How many did you send? And also, too, it's talking to people. You know, there's going to be, like I said, every 25 leads, there's going to be like the lay-down deal. But you can get another 4 or 5 deals out of those 25 leads once you get good at this business. Yep, Brian. You know, MLS is a numbers game, and Brian basically says making offers on MLS not working as well. I'll switch to your way of doing more direct mail. What's one thing? I'm going to tell you one thing about direct mail and talking to sellers is there is no competition. I mean, let me back up. There is competition, but when you're talking to a seller, you don't have 10 other people bidding on the same property like you do with a HUD home or like you do on MLS or like you do at the auction. You're just basically just dealing with a seller who wants to sell. Like we got this ridiculous lead that came in today for a property that has 4-plex, 6-plex, a single-family house, and they just want to dump it all, right? And we can pick it up at a pretty good price, and I know we can price a $100,000 deal. So the bottom line is that they're talking to nobody else, right? Because we hit them at the right time. Now, I can tell you this, if you are considering doing direct mail and you're listening to this, is consistently in direct mail. And that's why I went back and asked Deshaun, is because he tried a couple of direct mail campaigns. But the question is, you know, it's consistently doing it over and over and over again, and not in a small way. If he comes back and says, well, I've sent out 200, okay, well, you haven't even scratched the surface yet. That's like trying to dig for gold with a spoon, okay? Don't dig with a spoon. I mean, did I show you? Okay, this is called gold rush time. Gold rush, right here. Gold rush, right here. Don't dig with a spoon. Dig with a shovel. And me, I dig with a backhoe. I dig with an earth mover. Why? Because I know the numbers. I know how it works. And see, it takes obviously money to do it and scale it to do it, but I'm telling you, dig with a backhoe. And what it means, if you got to wake up earlier, if you got to go to sleep a little bit later, if you got to work a little bit longer to do this, you will, I promise you, be thanking me 4 or 5 years down the road when you're set for life. So, yeah. Okay, this is from James Thomas. What ARV are you buying at? Are you putting money into the property before you sell? Okay, second question first. I don't put in a dime into the properties. I don't even see the properties. I literally just, I don't know. We closed this week alone $100,000 in profit this week, and I didn't see one house. Let me think. I didn't see one house. So not one house. So we made $100,000 this week and haven't seen one house. Okay. So, and that's what. So ARV. So what ARV are you buying at? In Phoenix, it's a little bit different. And if you can't use this across the country, because right now there's a frenzy of people looking for properties and there's inventory levels are low. When inventory levels decrease, your LTV or your ARV increases. So whereas a year or 2 years ago, we'd be selling it at ARV of 63%. Here you can sell it at ARV at 85 to 90%, which is, I know, crazy. James, I get it. I know it's crazy, but I'm selling them. This is from Marcia. I have talked to a lady who has a property that is worth $2 million. Okay, good. It's the same exact principle. It's just different zeros. If the property was worth $200,000, it would be the same thing. What would I do with this property? On luxury properties, I would shoot at a 50 to 60% offer price. So if she wants $2, I'd be starting out at $1 million, $1.2 million for the thing. Less buyers, a different exit. Yes, I agree, Randy Lewis. Developer guy or management guy needs to come to the mastermind call to. On the next call, they do every call once a month. I'm sure they're hustling and working their butt off to get the new release out. But this is what's probably going to happen. We're just probably going to go into Freedomsoft one day, and next thing you know, it's going to be all brand new and spanking and shiny. So I agree with you, Randy. I'm right there with you. Good question. Okay, this is from Chris English. I had a house under contract with a seller that would not grant me access to the property to get the inspector in until 3 days before closing date. Because of the inspection report, I had to make a new lower offer. I had the buyer ready to go, and the seller would not agree to the new price. He even said he was going to sue me for not upholding the contract price. Do I need to be worried? Well, first off, you get two different things here. If you had your out clause in your contract, you don't need to be worried, because if you have your subject to partner's approval, right, and your buyer is your partner, and he didn't let you in, then you have no worries. If you don't have your out clause in there, I would search in there to see if there's any other type of out clause. But the bottom line is this, is you've got to have your out clause. And second thing is this, is that and this is more of an attitude thing. And this is how I would handle this, Chris, if it was me. If I'm going to contract a house, I'm a buyer, okay? I'm in control. I lay down the rules. They're going to play by my game, or I'm not going to play their game. I'm done, because I don't care, okay? If I get the deal, great. If I don't care. It's fine. And if you have that attitude, now, inside you might be going, I need this deal to pay rent, right? I know, right? But you can't act like that. And see, your actions, having a guy kind of push you around, right, saying, hey, I'm not going to grant you access, or 3 days. So he took the reins, and he was controlling how the transaction went. I don't let anybody control the way my transaction goes. I control the transaction, and they do it my way, or they find someone else. So how would I handle this, Mr. Seller? If I'm on the phone, Mr. Seller says, well, I'm not going to grant you access. I say, well, Mr. Seller, then we can rip up the contract, because you know what? I need to get contractors, inspectors. I need to get partners in there. And if you're going to inhibit me from going out and doing what I need to do to get my file complete for me to close this transaction, then there are too many other properties out there, pal, for me to purchase. So we got two ways to go. Either A, we can give me access to the property and we can move forward with the transaction, or B, I can pull out the deal and we can be done with this thing. You can go find someone else. You pick. Now, guess what? If you lay down the law with a guy, it's amazing. They'll turn around. And guess what? You just gain control of the entire transaction, right? Gain control of it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just tough about it, but I just know what I need to know to get it done. Okay. This is back to Marsha with her $2 million property. She wants to know what she needs to do to get it done. If you can get it under $1 million, Marsha, definitely do it. But know this. Make sure you get at least 90 to 120 days on your closing because you're dealing with a property where there's an exit plan is a little bit different. Now, every time I talk and I'm going to sell a property quickly, I always think about the exit plan first. Who am I going to sell the property to, right? So, if I have a property, am I going to sell it to a landlord, someone that's going to be able to do that? Are the rents comparable in the area? Is it a rental market in the area where I can get cash flow on the property if a guy gets a loan on it for 5.5%, right? So am I going to sell it to a landlord? That's my first question. Can I sell it to a fix and flipper? Is there enough equity? Is there other properties around there that have been fixed up and sold? Am I going to sell it to an owner-occupant? I have make contacts with hard or private money lenders that can get, that can offer financing on these properties that are not bank financing where they can help move the property. So am I going to sell it to an owner-occupant on there? Or am I going to sell it to, that's it. You either got an investor, you got an owner-occupant, or you got a fix and flipper. That's it. That's pretty much your three. So when I'm negotiating a deal with the seller, I'm thinking in my mind, how am I going to structure this to sell it? So back to your question, Marcia, if I get a $2 million property, first off, I'd really, really dive in to see if that's the value or if that's just what they told you, number one. Number two is I would look at what are all the comparable properties selling for around there. And what's the days on market? If everything around there is sitting on the market for 100 days, 200 days, 300, or all around the million or 900,000 range, well, guess what? You know you're going to be in the 600,000-700,000 range. I don't care what the thing is worth because you've got to be at a lower number to spur a buying spree on the property, okay? But if you're trying to compete with all the other properties around the market that are 900 to a million, you're just going to be sitting there like everybody else. So I look at days on market in a particular neighborhood. What is my competition, right? And then go from there. And then how do you market this property? Not the typical cash buyers. You market it to, you're going to have to put it in the newspaper. You're going to have to put in possibly magazines, but newspapers out there to sell the property and market it at a deep discount. Okay, anyway. Okay, this is Ray King. He's asking, what's the top 3 mailing list? If you're just starting out, focus only on absentee owner. Forget 30, 60, 90. Forget pre-nods. Forget, you can do free and clears if you want. But absentee owners, you can do absentee owner free and clear, meaning absentee owner with, 100% equity. You can do that for sure. But an absentee owner getting started is where you want to focus initially until you can get more into the niche list. Like a probate list is expensive, an inheritance list is expensive, but an absentee owner list, you can get those for fairly cheap to get you going and get you started. And you're basically, what you want to do is prime the pump. You want to get that first check so then you can ramp it from there. Oh man, Deshaun Drummond. He said he sent about 800 letters. Right. So either postcards or letters. If you send postcards, they're about a 1 to 2% response rate. So I mean, think about it. If you send 800 and you get a 1% response rate, if you send postcards, you get about 1%. That's 8 people that called. If you send Yell letters, you can get up to a 10%. Now, Yell letters, you're going to get a lot of people that are inquisitive, but that's where you can use your suave to be able to work with them to potentially get a deal. So he said that everybody called have multifamily. Dude, I'd be drooling over those multifamily deals because multifamily is hot right now. People are looking for cash flows. And if it involves cap rate, that's fine. Go on Google and go, what's cap rate? Figure out what cap rate is. You know, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Because people are buying these things like crazy. I'm searching for those type of properties. I'd rather have more of those because I can sell those in lightning speed because people look for cash flow. Cool, Christine. This is from Bruce. They call into voicemail, and they just leave a message, and we call them back. And do I have this whole automated voicemail where it goes, hello, thank you for calling Sell House Fast. If you would like to sell a house, I don't do that. Basically, and it goes to Stan, who's my who's the guy that works for me. He basically says, hey, this is Stan. This is my voicemail. I'm either on the line or in a meeting. Leave a message after the tone. I'll get right back. So it sounds exactly like a voicemail, exactly like your cell phone voicemail. So they leave a message. We have about a 90%, 98% message rate. We hardly have a hang-up rate. And then people sometimes even call back if they're motivated. So that's all I do. Nothing sophisticated. I don't know what that is. That's fine. Sounds good. Could we please clarify what HUD percent is off list price? Last time I think we misunderstood at 80% off list. Can you please clarify? Okay. Christine, with HUD, right, it varies per city. I know some cities and guys who are getting properties at 30% of list. In Phoenix, you'll never get a property at 30% of list. You get it more like at 98 or 100% of list. It's just the way the market is here. Vegas the same way. California, it could be different. So how do you find that is two ways. Number one, you go into the MLS, you pull all the recent cash HUD deals, and you look at what the property sold for versus the list price of recent sales. That will give you an indication of what the threshold for HUD is. The second way is just start placing bids. And start placing bids at 36, 41%, 45%, 51%, 50, 56%, 61%, 1% over like a major threshold. That makes sense. The best thing, Christine, you have access to MLS. Just do what I just told you. Just pull MLS of all the cash transactions, of the HUD deals that closed in the last 30, 60 days, and you'll find the threshold real easy. Okay, Peggy. Peggy says, I've been here in a month and I cannot get everything set up. Should I cancel until I get more computer savvy, or is there a live chat at least? Well, you don't really have to get everything set up. All you got to do is set up a voicemail. You get an absentee owner list, right? And actually, if you call them, they'll do it for you. And then you send your letters, and you can go to a company like yellowlettermail.com. Or you can use inside of Freedomsoft. They have a mailing service inside there. If you want to make it easy, they have all the mail pieces in there. Or you can go to Yellow Letter Mail. This is where I send all my mail. But what's their setup? Just do it. Just get a list, right? Absentee owner list, right? Call them up and tell you want absentee owners with equity. And they'll help you walk you through, get whatever you can get, right? And then go to yellow letter mail and send out postcards or send out yellow letters. And then get calls coming in. Now, Peggy, let me tell you this. You're going to mess up. You're going to feel unconfident. You're going to trip over your tongue. You're going to be nervous. The first pre-foreclosure door I ever knocked on, I walked up to the door and I couldn't say a thing. I was like, I was like a bumbling idiot, you know? You know, nothing's changed. But, you know, I was crazy. And I can tell you that I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had an overpowering focus and passion to get my first deal. So, you know, forget being computer savvy. That will come. Just get some letters out there. Just get the phone ringing. Start talking to sellers, and know you're going to screw up. My 9-year-old daughter learned how to ride the bike, you know, several years ago. And she was afraid to fall down. Oh, if I fall down, I scrape my knee. And we had to put pads on her knees and pads on her elbows and her helmet thing and this, and she was all freaking out. What if I can't? What if I fall? And I was like, are you my kid? Are you kidding me? Let's go. Let's do it. Right? So I'm like, I said, Ava, you can do it. I said, if you fall, that's okay. You can get back up and you can go again. You can get back up and you can go again. Don't be afraid to fall in this business. If you screw up a call, who cares? I've screwed up a ton of calls. I've made bad offers on properties. I've had properties I couldn't sell. It's part of the game. It doesn't matter. So don't worry about getting everything set up. Just do the next thing. And that is, you got to talk to sellers. And guess what? You'll know more a month from now just doing stuff than you ever will. I mean, you ever will. I mean, I'm a big proponent of just, you know how I learned how to swim? My dad threw me in the water, in the deep end. Here, swim. That's how I learned how to swim. I didn't study books, and I didn't get everything set up and have my shorts all done and have my towel all ready, and I didn't, you know, take swimming classes and do this. He threw me in the water. Guess what? I had two options. I die or I swim. I chose to swim. Now, do I recommend doing that with the kids? No. I put my daughters in a swimming class. I'm not that brutal, right? But back then, I'm 42, my dad was like, you want to swim? Get in the water. So what I'm telling you is, in this business, jump in the water. Take a deep breath and know that guess what? You're going to be treading water there and you'll be going, oh my God, am I going to drown? No, but guess what? You'll get it done. And that may be too harsh, Peggy, and I apologize, but that's probably the best advice I can give you. Christine, if you have a property that's very upside down, what do you do with it? I don't do short sales, so I outsource it to a short sale person that can handle those. Okay, this is a good one. Brian Hall. Okay, Brian says, I have a lead from a direct mail campaign. Seller says they have a few other offers. I told him I only have funds to purchase one property, and you must have learned that from me. I only have one property, and I have more appointments. They seem to be dragging a little bit. Any suggestions? Well, first off, every seller will create what's called a bogey. Okay, so what you do is meet with the guy. So I would say, hey, great, listen, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Do you really want to get this deal done, or do you want to mess around with people, just kind of give me offers and stuff? Because if you want to get this done, let's move forward. We can make a decision, and I can say, buy your property. Or if we're not going to come to a decision here, Mr. Seller, and you don't really want to sell the property, then guess what? I'll move forward. I'll go buy something else, and then I'll follow up with you in a month. So move them toward a decision point. And you move them toward a decision point by just saying, hey, let's make a decision. Are we going to move forward and do a deal together? You're going to sell me the property? You're a willing seller? I'm a willing buyer? Or am I going to go buy someone else's property? What do you want to do? And if you bring someone to a decision point, you'll get decisions a lot quicker. So. Ray King, where can we go to get your PNS? I don't know what that is. Podcast? You can go here if you want. Or just search in iTunes. Okay, Christine, that's just part of the business, and it happens. I don't have people tell me that. She basically said she had someone that goes, "What are you doing? You're trying to scam me out of my house and this, that, and the other." All that, was freaking out. It's going to happen. I send out, 50,000 postcards? Guess what? Oh, well. It's part of the deal. You're going to get people, they're going to be like, "What are you?" They're going to leave, stupid messages. Delete. Here's the thing, Christine. And don't be afraid by it, but here's the thing, is that my wife's grandfather, great guy, I love him to death, but he has thin skin. Every time he bumps into a shelf, he bleeds. Every time he bumps into a shelf, he rips his skin and he bleeds. He's like almost 90 years old, the nicest guy in the world, super cool, love hanging out, love talking to him, but every time he bumps into something, he bleeds. I'm like, "Grandpa, stop bumping into stuff. Right? You're going to be a bloody mess." So, you got two different options. One, you could be like him and have thin skin. And everything's going to affect you, and it's going to make you bleed. Or, you can be like a rhino. Okay? A rhino has thick skin. Meaning, you can shoot an arrow into a rhino, and he won't feel a thing because he has over 2 inches of skin, right? Before he even gets to any type of flesh or anything like that. It's thin, it's skin. And then he has that big horn. You don't want to mess with a rhino. He just blows through obstacles. Get in, get over, get down, just get, boom. Right? So the bottom line is this, is that how are you, I'm talking to everybody here, not just you, Christine, in your business? Are you like a rhino? You got thick skin? I don't let anything bother you. I'm going to put my head down. I got a horn, and you better get out of the way, and I'm going to accomplish my goal, or not. Or are you like my wife's grandfather that every time he bumps into something, it's thin skin? Heck. What do you think about using an LLC and selling it to someone with the asset being an REO property? Yeah, you can definitely do that. I have never done it before. I typically wholesale properties. I wholesale HUD homes. I double escrow HUD homes. I double escrow REO properties when I do them. So I do not sell the rights to an LLC, but you, yes, can definitely do that. I'd have an attorney draw up all the documents and everything for you to get that done. What telephone answering service? You can use Google Voice. You can use, is one, and this is for Randy Lewis, Google Voice, or you could use Freedom Voice if you want. So Freedom Voice, Google Voice is free, or Freedom Voice. Okay, Deshaun, what you have to do is you're talking about multi-unit properties. It doesn't work with a times .70 with a multifamily property. It doesn't work. That's out the window. You got to look at LoopNet. Go to loopnet.com. LOOPNET. I just did this for this property. Go to loopnet.com. And you can do a search. So I just searched for this property right here. And this is getting a little deep on stuff, right? But what you want to do is this, is that you're looking and I typed in the zip code, you're looking for the price per unit that is trading for properties that are either fully rented or, right, and you're looking for cap rates. What is the cap rate that these things are trading at? So the higher the cap rate, the cheaper the price. The lower the cap rate, the higher the price. Cap rate is cash flow on the property. So you want to look at what is the price per unit out there. What is the competition out there, around there? And then kind of go into the property, look at the effective age, look at stuff like that. But you don't use a 70% time repairs. Typically what you do is you want to get on a price per unit, obviously the cheapest price per unit. And if it is distressed, then you can come off that price per unit fairly low. And there's really not a formula. Basically, with those, the formula is if you have a high cap rate for a cash flow property, the faster it will sell. Okay? Because then you can sell it on the cap rate. So if you put out your marketing and say, hey, I got a 15 cap property on a property that's 80% occupied, then that will raise some eyebrows for people looking for cash flow. Okay, here's a question from Craig Dillon. He says, I have calls going to an answering service and a VA calling them back to pre-screen them. First off, what are your thoughts on that? And secondly, I'm thinking scalable and what someone else to handle the leads, but I don't know when to delegate. Yeah, I know it's tough, isn't it? I don't feel anybody else is going to handle the leads as good as me. I'm not clear on when and how to delegate effectively. But leads are piling up, and I'm not keeping up with them. That's a good problem, Craig. So first off, let's congratulate you for consistently marketing, number one. And number two, it's better than the alternate problem, which is having no leads and you're scraping in the carpet digging for leads, right? So you have a good problem. So now what you got to do, right, is systemize your business. So you're at a point right now where you have to systemize your entire business. So what you got to do, and I would recommend reading the book E-Myth, right? E-Myth. E-Myth is a great book. It will give you the understanding of what systemize means. And systemizing your business primarily means creating SOPs or standard operating procedure of what happens when. Right? Because your highest and best use, Craig, is talking to a motivated seller and being able to close them. So there's two ways to do it. For me, I took someone on, right, and I had everything systemized, an entire flow of what happens. What happens when a lead comes in? What happens when that the voicemail? What happens with the voicemail? What is said on the script? What happens? Then it's put into Freedomsoft. Once it's put into Freedomsoft, then it's if we get their email address, it goes into our 12-month autoresponder service. Then from that point, we're going to determine if there's any equity in the property. Now, when first starting out, I'm having a brand new person. I don't want to have them test motivation initially. I just want them to find properties with equity, and then we can move on from there. But then you got to teach them and train them what to do with the process, what to bring on the appointment. Ask how to determine value on the property before going in. What do you think about prior to going in and meeting with the seller? You got to know exactly what your number is and know how to negotiate. But those are all things you teach someone, and it's better to have someone local. Having a VA answer the calls, as long as they're like just an answering service, and they can just put the information, and then you can have someone sort the calls and then go on appointments. Then what you can do is split those leads. So, and you're in a point right now where you either grow or you suffocate. Okay, you're going to suffocate because you can't scale it. So, how do you scale it? You scale it with you have to bring on another rock star. You got to bring someone on as a rock star and then pay them a percentage of the profits. 10%, maybe 15% of the profits, whatever the number is. And I start them out with a revocable draw, something that makes sense. but you're typically going to do something that's going to, where it's income generated based. So their main focus is income generation. You want to find someone that's in sales, that's a seasoned salesperson. You don't have to train them how to do sales. They understand sales. All they have to understand now is your process and how your process works. But I would put the intention out there of start looking for a rock star sales guy that can help you run your business. Then what you do is you have your VA systematized, and all they're doing is gathering information. You're putting them into Freedomsoft. Then you have your sales guy. Now he's going through, and he's now talking to him. He's trained. He's looking for how to determine. You're standing over his shoulder watching every step that he's doing for at least a good 30 days to get him trained. And then when he gets a hot one, then that's when you go on those appointments, and that's when your best value and time is done, is because now you're only spending time with the highest motivated sellers, the best deals, the absolute best deals. I'll give you an example. Stan called and said, hey, I got this smoking deal. It's in a great area of Phoenix. The house is worth $300, and the lady wants to sell it for $100. I'm there. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm running to that house. I'll fix and flip that myself. It's a $200,000 deal. Well, not $200,000, because I got to put money in $50,000 into it, but it's a $150,000 deal. So that one, they're most motivated, and boom, deals there. I'm going to jump on those type of deals, right? And those come through. So it's more putting the attention that you need to find that person that can be your rock star, that you can work with them and help them in your business. This is from Christine. Do I know if it's legal to have a second buyer on the HUD deal close before the HUD closes with the first buyer? I have no idea. Do you know if it's legal to have a second buyer of a HUD deal close? I don't even understand the question. Sorry, Christine. I don't get the question. I don't really use a color code system. It's primarily this is Ray. Right now, they're all Stan's taking care of all of them. So what I would typically do is more of a folder system. Motivated, not motivated, follow-up, seller finance. So what I'll do is I'll pull out of here, I'll export all the ones that are anything but dead and closed, right? And I'm going to mail them again. But he'll put either motivator in these different folders, and then if we go into the folders, then the folders are the ones, but and then we do different colors for, inside of there in the different folders. So it's more of a folder system. Motivated, follow-up, seller hot leads, closed, April mailing campaign, under contract, June, July, August mailing campaign, managed groups and stuff like that. So it's more of a campaign, driven and folder driven type of thing. Okay, what am I? Okay. This is from Jonathan. He says, I like that you have the mindset, screw it if sellers don't play ball. What's the name of the game? Do you follow up with sellers? Yes. Two ways I follow up with sellers. One is they're in our autoresponder system, which Freedomsoft has. And two is that I send out mailers every single month to every person that's ever contacted us, unless they're a dead lead or a closed lead. So they're going to get a letter from me every single month, and it's going to say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm still interested in buying your house. Please give me a call at so-and-so address. Very simple, very easy, nothing sophisticated, no copywriting, but that's how I follow up with sellers. They go in our autoresponder system, and they get emails from me, and they get drip campaigns every single month from every seller. And I get tons of deals that way from follow-up, because you know what? No one does it. People they just call them in, they stick them in Freedomsoft, and they just keep on going, keep on digging, keep on going, you know. But it's like this. I got the example about digging for dirt, right? Digging for gold. If you're digging for gold and you're shoveling, you got backhoes, and you got all this dirt just piled up behind you, you should have someone that has a little siphon, and they're siphoning through, and they're pulling all the gold specks out of there, because guess what? There's probably $10 million worth of gold in that pile of dirt sitting there if you siphon it out. So that's what it does. The drip campaign siphon out the gold. This is Ray. Where are we going to get the bulletproof purchase contract with the assignment and escape clauses? I think in the classroom, if you go in there, they talk about the assignment clauses in there inside of Freedomsoft. If not, if you go through one of my podcasts here, in one of my archives there, look in the archives section. I talk in there somewhere about contract clauses. But the contracts, all the contracts are used in Freedomsoft. You know, how do you get them? You go search sellers. Oops. What happened here? Oh my. So if I go, seems freaking out. Okay, marketing. Oh, I'm trying to import leads. What am I doing? Sorry. All right. What the heck? Search. Okay, so if I go in this Jefferson property, why is it not clicking? Something's wrong on my internet. Well, whatever. The contracts are inside. The contracts are inside of Freedomsoft under the right tab on the outsource. Can't get there. Sorry. Oops. Did I lose something here? Okay. Explain how I double escrow HUD properties. Whew. All right. Okay. There's the A to B. A is your seller HUD, B is you. And you have a B to C. B is you, and B is your buyer. On your A to B, you're going to open it up with the HUD closing agent, right? You're going to have a contract between you and HUD. It's going to be at the A to B, escrow officer. On my B to C, I close at a different title company, okay, a different title company. And my B to C is with my title company. So I have a B, which is me, and my buyer, C, another purchase contract. We open up escrow. And what they do is they wire funds on the closing day from the C buyer to the A to B, cover my closing, and then send the deed back to the B to C. Close it all up nice, I get the difference. Is there deed restrictions on HUD property, Sean Taylor? Absolutely not. That's why I love them. How do you get the inheritance list? Go to usleadlist.com. usleadlist.com. Oops, my fault. US lead. I do that every time. Okay. This is Lance. Talk to Lance. Tell him you want the inheritance. Tell him I sent you. Tell him that Sean Terry sent you, and he'll give you a big discount. If you don't, you're going to pay premium. I have a HUD buyer who is selling it to another buyer. Well, as long as that's a triple escrow is what you're saying, make sure you have a good title company that knows what they're doing. Okay, Zeke Johnson, I have been wholesaling for 2 months now, and I have yet to find a title company that will allow me to use an end buyer funds to fund both transactions when I'm buying from the bank. Okay, keyword bank. You have to do, and they won't let you do it. They won't let you do it with HUD properties. They won't let you do it with bank properties, so you're barking up the wrong tree. Okay. What you got to do is use 2 different title companies, just like I explained in the HUD A to B. You have the A to B, the bank and you, at escrow number 1, at title company number 1 of Call of Fidelity. And you have escrow, the B to C, between you and your buyer, at a First American. And that's how you get the deals done. Okay? If you try to get them at close, you'll never be able to do it. You're going to be wholesaling until, for 10 years, you're going to be barking up the wrong tree. So, first off, do other than REOs. Why don't you do absentee owners? I mean, REOs are great. It's part of, it's awesome. But why not? How big does your market have to be to do 50,000 mailers a month? I don't know. Big. Pretty big. Okay, Marcia. And this is, Marcia, the exact same way I explained the HUD transaction. Her question is, if you do not sell the LLC, then how do you wholesale a REO property that you can't assign? You use 2 different title companies, just like I explained with a HUD deal. If you do it exactly like that, you can do it. This is from Peggy. I was told you cannot tie up a HUD property that you have to have cash to put down. Is that the only way? If the property is $50,000 or less, it's $500 earnest money to tie up the property. If the property is $50,000 or more, it's $1,000 unless it's land. Okay, it's 10% land. So, yes, it takes earnest money to tie up the property, but you got a deal. Sending out letters and postcards and doing all this stuff and all that's marketing. You're spending money with no idea if you're going to get a deal. Here you're spending money saying, hey, I got $500 to $1,000 because I've got a deal. It's a whole different thing. And see, with me, right now the market's so crazy, I'm getting stupid deals that I wouldn't buy, but people are buying. I'm like, there is no way this is going to sell, but I'll throw $1,000 at it just to see. I got this one property. I was like, there is no way. This is no way this is going to sell. Threw $1,000 at it, turned around and sold it, made $5,000. I was like, okay. Okay, Zeke Johnson, he said, okay, should I close the B2C first and then the A to B? What's going to happen is your B2C escrow company is going to request funds from the buyer. So theoretically, you're in contract with your A to B with for $50,000. And you're in contract with your B to C at the second title company for, say, $60,000. So what you're going to do is your title company is going to request $60,000 plus closing costs. Then what they're going to do is they're going to wire $50,000 plus your closing costs, let's call it $51,000, over to escrow A to B. They are going to close the A to B with those funds. Then they're going to send the deed back to the B to C, right? Then they're going to close the B to C. And that's all going to be in the same day. It's all going to be done within hours. And the difference will be your profit. So, you can't close the B to C before you close the A to B because you can't close the B to C because there's nothing to sell until you own it. Follow me? Marcia asks, we're not a title company, we use a lawyer. Exact same thing. Exact same thing. Doesn't matter. Yes, Christine. Have I had success mailing the probate? Absolutely. Do both title companies know? Absolutely, yes. Both title companies know. The buyer's going to sign a disclosure statement that basically says that they're using a portion of the proceeds to close on A to B transactions. If you're not a title closing state, use an attorney, exact same thing. All right, that's it. Holy cow, I'm exhausted. The longest question-answer call in the world. All right, guys. Still a bunch of people on here. Holy cow. All right, guys. Well, listen. I'll get with Justin, who's the developer, and what we'll do here is we will I'll have him maybe send out a message to everybody about what the upcoming new release of the Freedomsoft is going to be with that, and I'm sure he'll be on the next call. He can answer a bunch of questions for us. So, thanks everybody for attending. We'll see you next month for the Freedomsoft coaching call. Take care, and God bless.